All right, let's go. Week 3, day number 2. Going into our deadlift day, that contrast work of those heavy deadlifts mixed with the speed work of the squat jumps and that explosive work. So this day, I want to talk a little bit about day 1 and kind of the purpose behind day 1. Day 1, we've got some slow tempo strength work. That slow tempo strength work is great. It actually still is good for building muscle, even though you're getting down into that 3 rep range because of the 5 seconds down, the 5-second pause. And it really stimulates strength. It stimulates strength in the nervous system without that heavy load. So sometimes that heavy load will really tank people's central nervous system. And in jiu-jitsu, if your central nervous system is tanked, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to learn, right? Jiu-jitsu is a very cerebral sport. And so that's why day 1, I have the tempo work for the back squat, the tempo work for the bench press, even on the pull-up negatives. There's some reason behind that too, but a little bit different. But the back squat and the bench press, because sure, I could have had you do heavy back squat and heavy bench press, but I really wanted you to do heavy deadlifts in this program, fairly heavy deadlifts. So I knew that I really didn't want 2 very heavy days. So we've got the tempo work on day 1, and then on day 1 we've got that clear-cut interval work for our conditioning piece. So 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, those type of ranges, working that more short anaerobic type work. And then the recovery, the active recovery to teach your body to clear that fatigue while you're actually moving. Because you don't want your body to just clear fatigue when you're sitting still, but you really want to be able to train endurance, clear fatigue while moving, which is a lot of times you'll see really, really good runners in good running programs, they will walk hills. So they'll be running, and then when they get to a big hill, a lot of times they'll walk the hill. And, in our modern, just in our culture, I think we've got this no pain, no gain mentality. And so we would say, why, if you're trying to be the best in the world, why would you not run the hill? And I feel I've felt the same way for a really long time. But there's a time and a reason for everything. And there's methods for training. And so a lot of times they'll walk the hill. And so what you're doing is when you're walking up a hill, you're still keeping your heart rate up. You still got some tension on the legs, but you're clearing that fatigue that you had built up when you're running. So anyways, so that's kind of day 1. And then day 2, we're going into those heavy deadlifts. We're going into that contrast work, heavy deadlifts and speed work, contrasting those together. And then we're going into our long cardio piece for the week. So today we're going on the deadlifts, 5x2. We're doing, so that's going up in weight, still resetting every rep. But we're doing 5 sets. Each set should be challenging. Now, because we're going to 2s and because we're going to more sets, maybe as you get into your sets, you realize you could do a little bit more weight with good form. And so you go up in weight. But I still want those sets to be challenging all the way through. So I don't want you starting too light too early. Because you're going to need those 5 sets to really get the stimulus that we want. And you're going to superset that with 3 squat jumps. Same thing, be explosive on those squat jumps. Don't get lazy. Really explode as high and as hard as you can every single rep. That's the intent. That's the purpose. It's that the strength work today is not going to make you feel tired. Okay? Everything in training should not necessarily make you feel tired. This is strength work and explosive work. Even though I say rest 2 minutes between supersets, that's just because this program is designed for people who only have 45 minutes in a session. But dude, honestly, you could rest 3 to 5 minutes between these, especially if someone, if I was training somebody who was a really trained athlete, who had a lot of training age, someone training 10 years or something like that, man, if we're really trying to work strength and explosiveness, I would honestly have them rest 3 to 5 minutes. So you can rest more than 2 minutes between those. Now, on your cardio piece for today, we've upped the time of the cardio machine to 2 minutes. You can still select any cardio machine. You're doing 3 rounds, 2 minutes cardio machine, 70 to 80% intensity. So we're upping the intensity level this week, but I still want your heart rate range in that probably 70 to 80%. Probably now we're kind of getting more up there to that 80% if you have a heart rate monitor on. But if you don't have a heart rate monitor, that's the intensity level I want you to think, 70, 80%. So you're starting to get pretty tough here, like still probably conversational. Like you can still have a conversation, but it's going to be pretty annoying to have that conversation, right? You're starting to get a little tired. You're starting to get some fatigue. 14 single arm dumbbell rows per arm, picking a weight that's going to be challenging for those 14, challenging enough that it should keep your heart rate up. If it's too light, your heart rate's going to really drop and you're not going to be able to maintain that 70 to 80% heart rate. So making that 14 challenging enough that it's going to keep your heart rate up, challenging enough that it's going to actually burn in the muscle, but you're not going to have to drop the weight. You can do 14 straight. So then 14 V-ups. You're going to do 14 V-ups. You can also do straight leg raises from the floor. If you can't do V-ups, like you could do knee raises from the floor. You could do leg raises from the floor. You can do straight, if you want to do something that's a little bit more jiu-jitsu applicable, you could also, well, really V-ups are too, but you could sub that out and do straight leg raises where you come all the way back and invert and like touch your feet behind your head instead of just coming straight up to perpendicular when you do the straight leg raises from the floor. And then you're going to go into 1 minute on the cardio machine at 70 to 80% intensity, and then 12 stir the pots in each direction. Same thing on those stir the pots. If you can do stir the pots if you have rings, if you have TRX straps, or preferably if you have an exercise ball. If you don't have any of those, you can do plank saws here. And you're just going to go through 3 rounds of that, trying to maintain that like same steady pace all the way through. Same steady pace all the way through the 3 rounds. Same thing as last week. If you have extra time and you want to do more, what I suggest, instead of doing another round, just pick a machine or a couple machines and add on, say you finished the 3 rounds, now go do a 2-minute jog, same thing, 70 to 80% intensity, then a 2-minute bike, a 2-minute row, or you could do 1 minute on each, or you could spend the whole time on one machine, whatever you want to do. Stair steppers are great. Stair steppers awesome, but keeping that same intensity. And remember, we're building from week to week to week. So this is week 3, so you want to build, you want to do more volume if possible than week number 2. So if week number 2, at the end of the session, you did 5 minutes of extra cardio, this week you probably want to do like 7 minutes of extra cardio, right? Just add an additional 2 minutes on. And then plan for next week on week 4 to add 2 to 5 minutes to that as well. So we're just building week to week across the 4 weeks. Once you finish the 4 weeks, now is when you have your deload. We're going to drop back and start all over again with week 1. And you can use week 1 as your deload week. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into it. But that's all for week 3, day number 2. Don't forget, take your rest days, recover, stay hydrated, and make sure you're taking rest days between the program, making sure you're going through the program in order, that you're not skipping days or missing days. You should go through it straight through, all the way through the 12 workouts in order. All right, and we will see you on week 3, day 3.